Like, if you have to know how to win.
This is
Okay.
why I don't like Ohio State fans.
And those players,
It's like the whole right now.
hey.
He might as well be sitting for screaming 08 and then trying to and screaming the other, having someone else helping spell the end of the word.
Substantiate, to establish by proof or competent evidence. Welcome back to Substantiate. I'm the host, William Glasser, bringing you hypothetical sports matchups every single week. As you just heard in that short clip of what's going to come on later today, we are talking about the Ohio State University versus the University of Michigan. And this matchup is all-time football players, but they're playing basketball. So the last time we had an episode with Michigan and OSU, that was the fourth ever episode of the podcast with Ben Levitt as a guest talking about Michigan versus OSU playing some tailgate games like Cornhole and Can Jam. But today we're talking about all-time players playing basketball. So if you are new to the show, welcome. And I hope you stick around and subscribe or follow, depending on the platform you're on, and continue to listen each week. And you can also go back and listen to all of the past episodes for other hypothetical matchups. And if you also want to check out our social medias, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, at SubstantiatePod, nice and simple, same thing across every platform. And also, for any returning listeners, if you want to scroll down to the show notes, I've included a form that's just a bit of feedback and response from the audience so that I can continue to improve the show each and every episode. And also, the last thing that I ask of you before we get into my conversation with, well, you'll find out in a minute, but before that, if you could take a minute to share this with someone that you know, and don't just share it with them, tell them why you shared it, tell them why you think they will really enjoy this episode, and that just helps to grow the audience. So thank you for doing that. Scroll down to fill out that form, and it's a quick form. It's like 7 questions, I think, most of which are multiple choice. It'll take you 5 minutes tops. 3 minutes most likely, and you could go do that while you're listening to this episode if you want. But anyways, let's continue on to my conversation with our guests, plural, today. Today, I'm joined by a large group. Today, I've got 3 guests with me, the biggest group of guests ever on the Substantiate podcast. We've got Sean, Tony, and Jeff. How are you today, gentlemen?
I'm doing well.
All right. So today, we've got an exciting matchup for us. We've got Michigan versus Ohio State with potentially a little Notre Dame coming in here. And we're going to talk about some football teams and I guess some all-time players maybe playing basketball. This is going to be primarily Michigan versus Ohio State. I guess we'll do any era. Oh boy, Tony's already yawning. A bit cocky over there.
Those Buckeyes.
Right, so I guess we can start off, before we get into that, by you guys telling my listeners, what is your podcast all about?
Well, our podcast, the Getaway Podcast with Tony, Sean, and Jeff, it started as basically an idea between Tony and myself, the banter that we would have at work, just back and forth, kind of like if you think about PTI, those guys on ESPN, those are kinds of things we would talk about. Maybe disagree, maybe agree, or whatever. But then, we did a written blog, and we did that a little bit, and we had opportunities there. And then that kind of went away. And then as I moved, transitioned out to the West Coast, we talked about doing a video podcast. It was basically, kind of like barbershop, sitting around at the barbecue, just hanging out, talking. It's unscripted. Rarely do we have topics in mind. A lot of it is freestyle. And, a friend of ours said we should have named it the Freestyle Podcast because we never know what we're going to talk about most of the time. And then Jeff was on a few times. And then when Tony couldn't be on, I always called on Jeff. So we had him on so much, we said, let's just add Jeff. And that's how Jeff got in here. We are all friends. We've known each other since we were kids. I've known Jeff since I was about 10 years old, and I'm 21 now. And I've known Tony since I was about 17, so lifelong friends. And that's kind of how we got here.
Sounds good. All right. So now getting into this matchup a bit. And so, Jeff, you're the Michigan fan here, and Tony, you are the OSU fan, and Sean's over there with his Notre Dame gear on right now. And I myself am also a Michigan fan, so I guess I'll be maybe jumping in with Jeff a little bit.
He needs help.
We'll see. All-time teams here. We can see where this goes. I'm interested to see how
he's already writing notes, William. You see the notes? I saw him taking notes. We don't do that here, but I'm going to let it slide because this is your podcast.
I was just gathering my thoughts as far as players, man. I'm just thinking about my players that I want to draft here. That's all.
All right.
All right. So let's go. I guess we go back and forth for football players, and because you're each picking from different pools of players, I guess it doesn't matter quite as much who goes first. So why don't we give it to Tony? And Tony, what football player from Ohio State history would you like to take with the first pick?
Old people in technology. Unmute yourself.
You're on mute. Look, you're on mute, Tone.
Right, that's right. We're going Orlando Pace in the center. Okay, this is the true round mound of rebound. No one will be getting around him. Let's go, Jeff. Who you got?
Oh, okay. I'm going to take Charles Woodson.
All right. So what are some of your reasons behind each of those picks? What might they do for you on the basketball court?
Like I said, we're taking Orlando Pace because he was not only one of the best linemen in the history of college football, but he was very agile. He was very strong. And I feel like in the game of basketball, we've seen from time to time guys whose skill sets like that can translate to the basketball court. That's why I picked that.
So I take Charles Woodson because of that dual threat, right? We have a solid and strong defensive player, and then we can also count on him to, put it in the end zone from an offensive standpoint. He can transition from either side of the court or field in that case. I think he would be a solid two-way player for us in that way.
Nice. And Sean, you got any thoughts about either of those picks?
Me personally, I would take if it was Ohio State. If I had to take a pick, I'm going to take Teddy Ginn, strictly from speed. Right, we're going to get out on the break. We're going to run. I want to be like UNLV, but of the Midwest. So I'm going to start with speed, as like Ted Ginn is my Ohio State pick, and then for Michigan, I'm going to take Desmond Howard. Even though he's done some cruel things to my team, Notre Dame, I want to take him because of the athletic ability. Once again, Jeff's already taken Woodson, so I'm going to take Desmond, and I want to run. And if I want to take a Notre Dame guy, you know who I'm taking, the Rocket Ishmael, all-time favorite. So,
yeah, so we got like the actual draft going on. Then we got Sean and I over here. We're the expert analysts.
That's right.
We got the whole thing. All right, so now I guess we can move on to a second round of picks. Tony, who you taking?
I'm going to take, I'm going to go Lumpkin, tight end from Trotwood, Ohio, who was also a hoopster.
Yes.
I believe he might have been definitely all area, maybe all Southwest Ohio. So now we got somebody who's definitely translating to the hardwood.
Okay. My second pick would be good old Shoelace, Denard Robinson.
All right.
I like it. Right now, what I'm seeing develop here is bully ball. I'm seeing a guy who is a former basketball coach who's trying to bully you, Jeff, on the basketball court. He's going to say, we don't care about your quickness, your athleticism. We care about your size, and we are going to bang down on the block.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, once we get this game going and we'll break it down into a few categories, it's going to be real interesting to see how these players, like, just the physicality and the fierceness, it's going to be amazing. All right, so I guess we can move on now to a third pick. Tony, you there? Oh, Tony is there.
With the third pick, we will take pre-NFL David Boston.
Oh, before he got too big.
Before he got
too muscular.
Because we really don't need him. We really don't need him to play the 4. He's coming in small forward, and he's strong enough to bully you, but he's athletic enough to get it done from the wing.
All right.
Okay.
Got some team dynamics building up now.
My third pick, I would take Rashawn Gary.
Oh, yeah.
Youth.
Yeah. I like that pick, Rashawn Gary.
Someone who can push your Orlando Pace around a little bit.
Definitely.
And outspeed him up and down the court. So bring it.
Well, not a lot of pushing around going on there, but at least now we're not going to walk all over you inside. So
and there'll be no walking in the front. That's all he's gonna do is walk up and down the court. Bad knees, So come on, let's go.
Yeah, I like that pick. I remember when he was recruited or when he committed to Michigan, and he came out of Paramus Catholic in New Jersey, near where I used to live, and I believe Jabril Peppers also went there. So he's come from a long line of great defenders, and obviously he's quite a bit bigger than Jabril Peppers, who's now on the Giants, and Rashawn Gary is now on the Packers. But yeah, I like that. That's definitely physicality there.
William knows his Michigan football.
I can like that.
I like that.
Woo!
I can see that.
Tom might need help.
Giving Jeff some much needed assistance, I see.
Hey, look, this is not talking about current squads. So we talking about pass and bringing them together.
That's right.
We can stand with any Ohio State team when we start looking at it from that standpoint.
There we go, Tone. You got the fourth pick.
Well, we are going to bring in a little bit of athleticism as well with Chris Gamble.
Okay. Ooh.
No explanation necessary.
Former wide receiver, right?
That's right.
Okay.
And DB.
And kick returner.
Yeah.
Extraordinary.
He played corner in the league.
Yeah. Oh, let's see. Trying to think what type of ball I want to play here. Like my mindset is in that UNLV fashion, right? Get up and down the court, move. Got enough physical play here. I'm gonna take it back a little bit though. I'm gonna push to Anthony Carter.
AC. He's the reason why a lot of guys wore number 1.
Absolutely.
Yeah. With numbers, I mean, it's so weird how some players, when they switch numbers from college to the pros, and I didn't even know it was a thing until they changed the rule, apparently. But how in the NFL, there's rules about what positions, or what numbers, what positions can wear and stuff. And then Tom Brady got all mad. Speaking of Michigan, there's Tom Brady. I'm not sure he even gets much consideration in this scenario because with no O-line to protect him, he's
he's not the athlete.
I don't know. Maybe he could be a sharpshooter, but
there you go.
Not much else.
He can't be a point guard. He get peeled all game long.
All right, so I guess we'll have to see if he gets even any consideration with Jeff's 5th pick. But first, Tony, OSU, who's your final pick going to be?
Final pick, we feel like we have the athleticism on the wings. We have Gamble, who is going to play point for us. We feel like we are strong inside. Now we're just going to get somebody he's going to probably be one of the first guys off the bus because of the physique and the dedication and commitment to excellence, and that is Eddie George.
Eddie George is going to be your point guard?
No, Gamble's our point. Eddie's going to play the 2.
Okay. Whew. Talk about a bull in a china shop.
Man, I'm just saying. I just see small cats for him right now. I've got Orlando Pace, Eddie George, Gamble. Who was your other 2 picks?
Boston.
David Boston.
Lumpkin.
And Lumpkin. All right.
He's coming out big. I mean, everybody's over 6. How the shortest guy might be Gamble.
And he's 6'2", 6'3"?
Somewhere in there. Shoot.
Ask the Suns how that bully ball worked.
That's right.
Yeah. They almost made a run at it, though. I'm glad my Lakers pulled it out. But all right, my 5th pick.
Oh yeah.
Be right. You got to be right.
Tony, I'm gonna make you re-explain Braylon's name. So I'm gonna go with Braylon Edwards. So just in case he's listening, so he can understand that he's named after another Michigan great at the outside wide receiver position. So
a little background here, William. We were on Tony's case a couple weeks ago because his son, his one and only loving child, his name is Braylon, and he's named after Braylon Edwards. Michigan wide receiver. He did not know it, so we talked about it on the podcast.
All love, B. All
What
love,
up,
man.
Those are certainly some big, fierce teams. And I think that maybe some offensive line might have had a place here with all these big guys going around, maybe protect someone. But at the end of the day, I like no offensive line. We're going straight at it. No one is protected. And
Well, are we going to go with a 6-man here? Because, I feel like they're going to need some reinforcements.
Here we go. Somebody off the bench. Okay, I'm right.
Sounds good.
All right, so who's your 6 man?
We are going to take one of the most electric players to ever come out of the Big Ten in Braxton Miller.
That might seal a deal for you.
Braxton Miller. Okay.
There's no answer for that. Is there an answer for that?
Jabril Peppers.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Little Jabril.
Yeah.
Little Desmond Howard.
No, we took Denard.
Little Denard.
I took Desmond. I would have swapped out Shoelace. You took Shoelace for that, right? I would have swapped him for either Tyrone Wheatley or Tim Biakabatuka. Give me a little size, a little oomph.
Yeah, I thought about them.
Yeah.
But again, we're playing basketball. We're not
or
playing
Jake
football.
Butt. How about Jake Butt?
Now he was a very top candidate there. I'll be honest, he was.
Yeah.
Because just to kind of compete there with Lumpkin a little bit, I thought about putting that meat there next to him.
Additionally,
but
William, I'm not going to get in trouble for this, and Tony won't get in trouble for it either because he's picking Buckeyes. But Jeff is going to get in trouble. We have an alumni who played for the University of Michigan.
Brent White
on all of our friends list, and you did not mention him as your top 6 to play basketball. I'm a little disappointed, and he's going to see this. I will make sure that he sees this, and then he'll have to talk to you about it.
All right, well, I'm already going to defend Jeff here. He obviously was just trying to protect him. He didn't want him to get beat up in the middle of this mess.
Brent White is a big guy, man.
Brent is a big guy. Brent would probably be my answer. Would have been my answer, probably to Lumpkin.
Yes, that would have been a good answer to Lumpkin.
So you know what? I'm gonna make a trade here. I'm gonna swap out.
Oh boy.
Okay.
I'm gonna swap out Anthony Carter.
Tony's making a face like no trade.
I'm gonna swap out Anthony Carter for Brent.
Okay. Shout out to Brent White.
All right. You'll love to see it. I definitely like the Jabril pick because when he was on Michigan, Jim Harbaugh used him in, I think, any way you could. There were some times, well, obviously he was a safety, but he could also line up as cornerback. He would line up at linebacker occasionally. Right. He was a punt returner and occasionally returned a kick. Sometimes he would line up on offense because he was so athletic. He would either take the snap and just dive over the line of scrimmage or run the ball, or occasionally even as a passing target. And I love that versatility here. And in this game where it may very well be dominated by these big men, but Jabril is definitely going to be that great 6th man who may not be perfect in every situation, but when he's in there, he can do anything you ask him to.
Mr. Glasser, I love that response. It was so good that it made Tony go away. That's a great answer. What do you do with a guy who's a Swiss Army knife who can do everything? What do you do with him? He's going to be like Steph Curry out there, just driving to the lane, hitting buckets all kinds of ways. Oh, now you come back.
Okay, so we're trading guys now, right? Is that what we're doing?
You're allowed one trade, Tony.
You get one. I'll give you one. I took one, so you get one.
Okay, so with Lumpkin and with Pace, we've got the inside handle. We're not worried about that. We feel like David Boston, even pre-NFL, he was going to give you a little business. He had some guns, okay? We are going to I'm going to trade out Chris Gamble for Chris Carter.
Oh.
Chris Carter was heavily recruited out of high school for both basketball and football. We feel like I'll be honest with you guys. This feels like 2020, 2019, 2018, 2017, 2016, 2015. Should I keep going?
See,
that's what this feels like right now.
So this was his, so when he went away, he was doing some research there. I ain't mad at you, Tone.
Hey, it's all good.
Chris Carter was a good person. I have fond memories of Chris Carter from the Byers and Bayless camps. Yeah. And I can recall at one camp that didn't somebody flip Chris off during the camp, and he snapped off. But Chris was a great guy. I Middletown, Ohio. That's a great pick. I like that.
Okay, so I got on Jeff about one of his picks and people that we know. Now I have to get on Tony because arguably one of the best high school football highlight tapes I've ever seen was from this man, Jalen Marshall. How you gonna leave your guy Jalen Marshall out? You coached him in semi-pro football.
I think the problem,
you established that relationship, and then you let him down.
I think the problem is this, and I love Jalen, but the question we always ask is for who? For who? Who's he gonna play over in that group?
I'm just saying.
But he's got to be able to play over somebody because see, there's no sympathetic picks. See, sympathetic picks will get you in second place, and contrary to my opponent, like that's not what we do this for. We do this to win.
Okay.
And
Jalen, I was working for you on your behalf, Jalen, just so you know.
Love Jalen. Love Jalen to death.
And look,
but we're here to dominate.
My swap for Brent is not a second place pick, bro.
Well, I'm not even saying it's just Brent. I mean, I'll be honest with you.
So again, because if we're talking errors, Brent was part of that era that dominated Ohio State.
That is nothing against Brent. Nothing at all. I'm talking about as a whole. As a whole.
And as a whole,
if you need Tony's phone number, it's 937-829-3939. He said he'll take the call.
I will take the
call.
Right,
autograph.
So we gotta pick our coaches now, right?
Oh yeah, that's all right.
Well, here's the deal. Master motivator. Okay, innovative. Okay, we're gonna stay with this era. We are going straight Urban Meyer. Okay. We're not even worried about it not being a basketball coach. This is all about philosophy and continuing the domination that is Buckeye, whatever.
So from a basketball mindset, I would actually choose Rich Rod.
I love that answer.
I ain't mad at you.
Rich Rod. I think for a basketball scenario here, Rich Rod is the pick.
I mean, he couldn't win football for you, so might as well give basketball a try.
Hey, you're absolutely right. He didn't do well, but he got a shoelace who ran through you all. So, we're good.
All good. Shoelace has to guard somebody.
Oh, he can.
Who's it going to?
So let's go.
You know what? I'm going to let him talk about the matchups because I know it's going to come from an unbiased position behind that microphone. So.
Trying to sell you, William.
Let's do it.
He's trying to sucker you. He's trying to.
Well, obviously, with Rich Rod as a pick, you're obviously not going Jim Harbaugh if you're trying to stay in a current era. And, I mean, Rich Rod seems like a fine pick to me. I don't know who else might be better, but I definitely like that there. And Urban Meyer, obviously, he retired from Ohio State because of, stress problems or something. And then he manages to go to a bigger stage in Jacksonville. And I don't know. Something seems a little bit weird about it. But, I mean, listen, will he be able to withstand the pressure of us four here tonight? I don't know.
You know what, though? But the great thing about it, first off, past performance is a good indicator of future performance. And he's won everywhere he's went. So that's the first thing. So I would expect him to listen. We're not asking him to come coach for seasons. We're asking him to come coach the utter domination of that group of six that Jeff just put together. And quite frankly, my understanding is it's only one game. So I'm going to take my chances on Urban Meyer, taking a break from Jacksonville, come out, do his thing on the basketball court for one game. Okay. The reality of it is, I don't think it's going to be that hard for him. But one game always wins. That's what it is.
I see another stressful moment coming for Urban. And him having to walk away before the game is even over. Stressed out before they even throw the ball up for the jump.
He got to deal with Chris Carter. Man, he going to be stressed out.
Hey, Chris has been on the straight and narrow for a while now.
Yeah, okay.
Well, and he doesn't have any of his assistants to take any of the load off of him. He doesn't have an OC or a defensive coordinator. He doesn't have any position coaches right now. It's all him.
No Aaron Hernandez.
Nothing.
Listen, Braxton's going to call the offensive sets, and we just going to get after it on defense. We're going to play a 2-3 zone with Pace in the middle.
Well, he's your sixth man, though.
Well, let me
Zone
tell you
is for
something.
cowards.
We run them in and out. This is going to be up and down with those guys.
Hey, I'm sorry.
This is a 2-3.
Orlando Pace is not running up and down no court, bro. It's not running up and Orlando Pace is not. He's gonna give you one good fast break, and after that, he's gonna go sit down on the sideline and eat some Cheetos, bro. It ain't happening.
We can still press. He's gonna get back.
Not with Orlando
He's
Pace.
gonna get back. He's gonna protect the basket.
I can have Brent, Rashawn, Braylon, Denard, and Charles Woodson on the court while you've got Orlando Pace and you don't get ran. He is not going to cover anybody.
It's a struggle.
Hey,
this is actually a good matchup. William, this is better than I thought it was going to be. And Jeff piecemealed it all together. It sounds like a good matchup.
Agreed. All right, now that we have teams, let's talk about the teams and how they'll match up with each other and compete. All right, so let's try to break this game down into a few categories. So in terms of basketball, I guess focusing on, we'll say, OSU's offense and Michigan's defense first, and then we'll sort of switch around. So, Tony, you've got this team, and what kinds of sets might you run? Like, who it's the last second. Who are you giving the shot to? That kind of thing.
well, first off, I don't see anybody as athletic as some of those guys are that's going to stay in front of Braxton Miller because nobody from Michigan was able to do it on the football field. Okay, so that's the first thing.
Wow.
Secondly, we're going to own the offensive glass, so we don't have to make every shot. Okay, Orlando Pace is going to do his thing on the glass. Lumpkin's going to do his thing on the glass, and the reality of it is, everybody that we have is long and athletic, regardless of how tall they are. They're going to help on the glass too. We're gonna weave it up top, pass the ball, ISO for Braxton, 6-man or not, he's going to get in the game. Chris is going to do a very similar thing because Chris in his heyday was a heck of a scorer. Okay, yes. And we're going to say, here's the deal: we don't have to hit every shot, but we're going to get second shots because I don't hear anybody but really Brent in that group that's going to really be willing to put a body on anybody. You're talking about divas. You're talking about divas over there. They don't want physicality. Come on.
Rashawn Gary's a defensive end and a lineman.
Yeah.
It's like
you got two players that aren't afraid of the contact.
Okay, so do you.
I got three.
I got at least three. Eddie George, Lumpkin, and Pace. They'll be the bangers. And your Miller and Carter are your slashers, right? Boston is like a tweener. Then you got Brent White, Rashawn Gary,
Charles Woodson.
And Woodson will mix it up a little bit. He
don't be afraid to stick his nose in there. And quite honestly, if I put Jabril in the game, it's gonna do the same thing.
Ohio State's offense and Michigan's defense. And yeah, the only thing I'm worried about with Ohio State potentially not getting quite as many offensive rebounds as you may think is, what if Michigan decides to start shooting some further shots? And what if there's some longer rebounds? What are some of the guards' defense like?
Braxton ain't playing no defense. Braxton's all offense. He's all gas, no breaks. He ain't playing no defense. Don't unmute yourself.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
Especially now in the NBA and starting now a little more in college basketball, just how obviously the three-point shot is becoming more and more popular. And although that may not necessarily be the case here, you can't just immediately discount that. So I think that's definitely something to take into consideration. And if Braxton Miller is more than just the sixth man, if it is a big constant rotation, then I think Michigan has to maybe exploit that matchup a bit.
Well, I don't see that happening. However, hey, you got to hold on to one glimmer of hope. I guess that can be it. Let's not underestimate the era that Chris Carter comes from, okay? They played defense back then. I don't see anybody in that group for Michigan that really could have dealt with that. Okay. He's probably going to be our best defender, especially our best on the ball defender, based on his size and based on his mentality. And quite frankly, what he's done on the hardwood in the past.
So you're saying that none of my players, as far as guards or forward, small forward type position, could cover Chris Carter. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying Chris is too good of a basketball player for just non-basketball players to dominate.
So you think that Charles Woodson and Braylon Edwards weren't basketball players or athletes in the sense that they played two sports like that?
It's not about being an athlete. It's about
No. I'm saying, but what I'm saying is this. Listen now, Charles Woodson would be a dog on defense for you. He would lock them down just like he does in football. He would have locked Carter down on the field as well. Chris was not fast. Chris was a great route runner. He was an effective receiver. He was not fast. Woodson would eat him up both on the football field and the basketball court. So I would say so my starting five to kind of counter your group, right? I would have Rashawn and Brent. I would put in Charles. I would put in Braylon. And I would probably go ahead and start Denard just from the standpoint of being able to have that speed on the court to run. If I had found that I needed to rotate somebody out, again, just to kind of slow your Braxton down, I put Jabril up in this grill too, just to shut him down that way. So I think from a defensive standpoint, I could go man, or I could go zone with your players, and especially if I've got to kind of control pace and Lumpkin as far as trying to keep them away from the rim. I probably would say man and just keep my team spread out.
And what was Rich Rod's defense like? Did he run in football? Did he run more man or zone? Or
he was kind of a combination guy. They were more about the speed, a lot of slants, that type of thing. They didn't do a lot of head up type things. They had a lot more slashers on the defensive side.
They were in a 3-5 concept. A lot more athletic guys on the field than big guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I guess last question here about OSU's offense, then Tony. Then what kind of offense might Urban Meyer run based off of his football coaching? What might his basketball specialty be?
First off, innovative, because that's what we do. We're going to score a lot of points.
I think that must be the only word, or adjective they teach in Ohio State. We're going to score a lot of points
because that's what we always do, okay? We're going to be fun, and we're going to win. We're going to press, okay? We're going to make you make good decisions. We're going to make you hit shot, okay? And then we're going to know when to change the pace, all right? Quite frankly, there is no substitution for a winning mindset. Like, if you have to know how to win. Okay.
This is why I don't like Ohio State fans.
And those players,
it's like the whole right now. He might as well be sitting for screaming OH and then trying to and screaming the other, having someone else helping spell the other.
You're
the end of the
only
word.
as good as your leadership. And listen, those players, I give it to most of them. They have been able to win. From a coaching standpoint, I think, quite frankly, you're going to have a guy who can't manage the talent. Okay, and you're going to be looking for the next guy.
Don't let him bash your coach, Jeff.
All the while, we are going to be heading on to our next opponent. So, William, please go ahead and get the next opponent ready.
I'm sorry. So, like I said, if we were paying for tattoos and all the other luxuries that you all pay for your players, it probably would work out the same way too. If you had gold pants to trade for tattoos, you might have tattoos too. We took all the gold pants every year.
It's getting personal.
Oh yeah, here we go again. So again. Now, your basketball squad is not going to win, though.
People wanted the Ohio State memorabilia because it symbolized winning, much like our guys on the hardwood are going to do.
It didn't have anything to do with winning. It was all about like, oh, look, I can get this gear. Nobody care about who they're getting it from, bro. They just want the gear.
We're running off the tracks here, William. We're losing on William.
William, you need to save him.
Wait, Tony, then I have to ask you this question. Then how do you view the cancellation of the game in 2020?
Well, I don't blame them, first off. Okay.
Not what I was expecting.
I don't blame them.
It's an antagonist.
Yeah, so this was one of our conversations we've had before too. So
I don't blame them. We expected that, especially from their head coach. We expected that.
Wow.
And quite honestly, we just kept it moving.
This is great TV.
Well, I guess we can all be happy by knowing that Ohio State got blown out in the finals.
We can all be happy knowing Ohio State got to the finals. That's
all that matters is that you got there, not that you. I thought the innovativeness of the team.
Well, there were two of us that got there, Jeff, and there were a whole lot that we're watching.
And you know what? Only fact that we remember is the fact that y'all got blown out.
Exactly.
Hey,
I remember the blowout.
I remember the blowout.
Guys, listen. We're talking about something that is foreign to some of us on this telecast.
So again, recent history.
That is the playoff system.
So we talked about this. This is recent history.
One other person on here can relate to what it is like to be one of the top at the end. Okay, and he doesn't really have a dog in this fight.
No.
Okay. One of us.
Well, other than Notre Dame got blown out by Michigan in 2019.
So okay, let's talk about some things
So
here.
I was not gonna go there with you, Sean. See, I left it alone. I wasn't know.
Go ahead. I digress. Go ahead, Sean.
The young guy had to draw me into it, and now I'm just saying. Now I gotta punish Jeff for your behavior, William. Jeff has bought me so much Garrett's popcorn from Chicago. He may have stock in that company now. When they see his name come up, they just automatically send that order to San Diego, Sean Huffman, because he's lost so many bets because Notre Dame has dominated Michigan.
So no, it wasn't a domination. Y'all got y'all little two. It was 2 buckets. I think
it was
that
a lot.
You got.
It was more than two.
Two.
I had so much that I said, you know what? Let your sister have that big bucket of popcorn because I'm tired of it. I still got kernels all in my teeth from the previous. It's just terrible.
Indiana threw me under the bus the last one that we lost.
And once again,
that was the one that
I'm just saying.
But back to Tony and beating him on his basketball.
I was just sipping my tea, listening to the great conversation.
Awesome.
Wow.
I feel like we got to throw a game just so I can get in on these bets and get some popcorn because I don't get any bets.
Yeah.
Look, I would have thrown a bet out there regardless with this last season. I would have. Because
if y'all played the game.
You kept saying, that there was going to be that he was going to hang his 100. I would have placed the bet.
On the 100 or just the game?
On the 100. Because Tony was real confident about him dropping the 100 on the squad.
Tough bet, Jeff.
But you was screaming real hard.
Can I chime in here?
That's why we don't hang 100.
I want to add in, I do honestly think that they were going to score 100 on you guys. And I would have taken that bet. And if he even says it again next year, I would put money on it again. Now, he's not saying beat him by 100. He's saying hang 100. And there's a difference. And I think that they were going to.
There is a difference.
I think they were going to try to score 100 on you guys. And the way you guys were playing, you were going to give up 100.
All right, we're going to get back to this in just 1 minute, and we're going to flip the sides of the ball. But first, give me 1 minute to tell you about Built Bar. By now, you've probably heard about them. They are the best protein bar I have ever had. They come in 9 base flavors, highlighted by mint brownie, peanut butter brownie, raspberry, coconut almond, salted caramel, and cookies and cream, as well as a couple others. And then they also have the occasional limited time flavor. I got birthday cake back a couple weeks ago. That was limited time, so you gotta keep up with them on their website so that you make sure you never miss a limited time flavor. But they're really great, and they're high in protein, low carbs, low sugar, and some have nuts, some don't have nuts. But, I mean, like last weekend, I went golfing 9 holes on Saturday and Sunday. I brought one with me each day, popped it out around the 6th or 7th hole, had a nice snack midway through, and gave me the boost to finish strong. And it turns out on Saturday, I even birdied the 9th hole. So definitely go check them out and use code SUBSTANTIATE to save yourself 10% off your entire order. That is an amazing deal to save yourself some money off of an amazing product. So again, that is code SUBSTANTIATE for 10% off BuiltBar.com, and you can go check out all their flavors, and they have a couple other products also. Code works for everything. Go check it out. I guess let's flip the sides of the court. Let's head on over to Michigan defense and Ohio State offense. So here with Michigan and Jeff, what kind of defense, what might we be looking at here with Rich Rod? What's he going to plan out?
So again, I think as far as accounting for tone size that he has in there with Pace and Lumpkin, again, we're going to have Brent, Rashawn, Braylon, Charles, and since we're looking defensively, I'd say Jabril out on the court playing. The deal with the size and kind of counter that a little bit, especially if we're getting banged up too much, we'll probably move to a zone just to kind of keep us in a position to be able to have a box out position. I like 3-2s. Sometimes I like the 2-3, just kind of seeing what's going on. That 2-3 allows me to kind of rotate and make sure my rotations are tight and making sure my backside is covered. So I don't have the speed to do a 1-3-1 because I would do that with them too because I could trap. But I would say probably the 2-3 type defense.
Yeah, I definitely think 2-3 is the way to go here over 3-2 because just with this amount of big guys, it can't hurt to have the third guy down low.
Fellas,
I see the basketball mind turning. He coached high school.
I love
basketball
the fact that you would play a 2-3 because, quite frankly, the hardest defense to rebound out of is a 2-3. Okay, you're not able to get the bodies on guys because of your positioning, and the reality of it is, Braxton and my guards are going to break that zone down anyway and penetrate. You're going to have guys stepping up towards the free throw line to really, keep that penetration from getting all the way to the rim. And we're dropping it off. And quite frankly, Orlando Pace is tearing down the rim. Lumpkin's tearing down the rim on those dish and dunks.
No.
So 2-3 it up.
No.
And definitely don't go 3-2 because you ain't got enough butt with any, to do that.
Look, between Brent and Rashawn, I'm not even, like I said, between Brent and Rashawn, I wouldn't be worried about your bigs. Honestly, I wouldn't.
You better play man and put a butt on somebody.
Rashawn would be able to handle Orlando, and Brenton and Lumpkin would be a white.
True.
You underestimate the girth.
You underestimate Gary. Have you not watched this man play in the NFL?
Yeah, I think another contender maybe for Rashawn Gary's position could have been Chase Winovich because they work together so well on Michigan's defense for however many years they played together. And now Chase Winovich is in New England and Gary's out in Green Bay. But when they were together in Michigan, in the middle, they just worked so well together in pressuring different sides of the offensive line and ultimately finding a way to the quarterback. And Rashawn Gary, I think he can definitely get the help he's looking for in his teammates here. So ultimately, I think that Michigan's defense, will be very strong.
Tony, you see Jeff's face? He's so happy to have help. He is.
I can see that.
Is so excited to have somebody who's.
Now
a
you're
Michigan
talking about
fan.
the long-haired guy, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What is he, Sean? 6'2", 240. He's too little. He's too little. I mean, you're talking about a guy who, quite frankly, would only be brought in to be a bully, but he's too small. He's too small. He had to play a 3. He can't guard a 3.
6'3", 250.
6'3", 250. Well, I'm not really sure who you're gonna steal. I mean, I don't know.
You're gonna make Canada hate us, though.
Why? I love Canada.
Huh?
I love Canada.
All right.
Almost as much as he's loving them French
Killing them fries.
Loving them
Got
fries.
the salt on them, Tony? They got the right amount of salt?
They're a little salty.
What's the drink you got there?
It's my tea.
Okay, go ahead. This is how we go, William. Sorry, this is what we do. It's freestyle. Go ahead.
All right. So now I think we've covered Michigan's defense pretty well.
Here's the deal: we're athletic enough to keep their guys in front of us,
You asked for
and we're big enough to own the glass. That's defense. That's what we do. That's what we'll do. Enough said.
Jeff.
the cockiness of all.
I can't break it. Hey, you know what? What's understood doesn't need to be said.
Look, that is suck-eyed nation, bro. They just the cockiness
What
of
is
all of it.
Agreed.
Need to be said.
But again, offensively, I don't have to keep running people in and out of the game. The players that I have, I'm able to play both offense and defense and be effective at it. If I want to athleticize you, then I would pull Brent and I would put in Jabril and have a small ball type approach with you. Up and down the court, I would just run you to death. At some point or another, probably after the first fast break, Orlando's going to be on the sideline sucking wind and water and probably looking for one of the french fries that you eat.
Disrespectful.
Lumpkin probably would be able to keep up. Again, tight ends are athletic enough to kind of be able to keep that running game. We're used to seeing athletic tight ends transfer over to basketball and be successful. But as far as my skill positions and keeping up with your skilled people, we're going to run you. Like I said, Carter can't keep up with nobody. He's not going to be able to run the wing with Braylon or with Woodson. And he's surely not going to be. And as far as your Braxton Miller trying to keep up with Jabril or Denard, I'll put my money that the speed will stay there and be able to get past them. So I'm saying that we would look straight like UNLV back in the 90s. Right?
You're going to have a hard time fast breaking when you got to take the ball out of the hoop every time. But hey, okay.
Ooh, he said ain't no break starters. They're not going to be missing. No break starters. You got to take it out. Grab it out the net.
Wow.
Getting to the glass.
Unrealistic.
We're owning the glass.
Man.
Unrealistic. Like I said, when you're still running up the court,
I think you're underestimating the power of Chris Carter because, the court it's not a football field, right? So he doesn't have to run fast.
I get it.
He just got to be in the right spot. He was a phenomenal high school basketball player.
Phenomenal.
I don't doubt it.
So here's what I've been thinking. So I think that rebounding in terms of physicality just may be the most contact part of the game, if you will, or the most physical part of the game. And therefore, it requires a lot of energy. And if Ohio State is getting tired running up and back each time, even if it is after a made shot, by the end of the second half, if we're doing college rules with halves, then I just see Michigan going on a late run and pulling through because Ohio State is just going to be winded. And then at that point, Urban Meyer's, he's like, how many timeouts do I have? Because it's basketball, not football, and he's got a bazillion. But that still won't be enough.
You know what? I'll tell you what, William. It took you longer to pull out the homer card than I thought it would. When I was told you were a fan of the state of North, I said, man, he's going to come to get me right away. But you sucked me in, William. You got me comfortable in true Wolverine fashion. Got me comfortable thinking, kind of like the official in the wrestling match where he's doing everything right, and all of a sudden he gives a quick 3 count and lets the Michigan guy win. But hey, I expected it, and I welcome the challenge. I mean, heck, I'm surprised we didn't give Jeff an extra pick. Just to kind of weigh it, make it even.
Sheer arrogance.
We didn't need to do all that. Again, when your coaches leave positions to avoid being investigated in most cases, but claim that it's that they're exhausted or tired or stressed.
Now, Jeff,
but we're not gonna go there. I'm sorry. I know.
The way it works in college sports, and
unless
him leaving, if they were gonna get investigated, they're gonna get investigated, and basically he's gonna leave them to pay the price. I'm waiting on that to happen because it hasn't happened. So that is spoken like a true Michigan man.
Oh, I'm not talking about him. They just kind of brush some things under the rug. I was talking about your Tressel days, but I'm gonna leave that alone. I was more talking about Tressel, coaching. Not necessarily Urban.
It's the same thing.
But it was Tressel that started that shift for y'all. Again, y'all have had some great runs, and so I've always been upfront and honest about acknowledging the success that you all have had in recent history.
And continue to have wrong with
that. But it's going to happen. It's going to end. It is. It's going to end. And
everything's going to end at some point, Jeff. Are we going to?
Yes, it is. And just don't start with this Ohio State Michigan thing this year. So
all right, so I guess let's get some last thoughts here before we close it up. But man, I mean, I think we all know who Tony thinks is gonna win. I think we all know who Jeff thinks is gonna win.
Oh, don't do this.
I think we even all know who I think is going to win, which means there is one person that we need to get a definitive answer from, and I may have made a mistake in bringing Notre Dame into this, but we'll throw it to Sean anyway.
I'm just saying, there's a reason my Facebook handle is Sean Petty Huffman. So usually I try to stay neutral. I try to stay out of it. I try to stay clear of it. But when I get drug into a situation, I got to be petty. And I'm going to go with the Buckeyes.
Wow.
Just because, you had bring up the last win and all this other stuff. Okay. I was just minding my business. I thought this was between a Buckeye and a Wolverine fan. And then I get drug into it. I'm going with the Buckeyes. Hey, Tone, OH.
So we got a tie.
Yes.
Look, it takes 70,000 people to spell 4 letters.
It only took 2 today, baby.
All right. Well, I guess if it's a tie, we'll just have to defer to who wins Michigan versus Ohio State 2021.
Here we go.
Not sure if it's in Michigan or Columbus, but either way, it's going to be a great game. Michigan's going to have a rebound year in football. And I don't know, maybe we'll get something going again between the Getaway Podcast and Substantiate for a maybe a bit of a preview that week or something the week after.
I like how you did that, William. You said rebound, right? That's the only rebound that Michigan group is going to get on this telecast. Is the one you just, and I don't even think that's going to happen. But I like how you did that. I like that.
Wow.
Listen, I didn't even bring up the fact that we're going to be setting screen. Man, you guys are going to be so black and blue.
Like I said, you still got Orlando Pace and Lumpkin probably sitting there trying to finish their bills.
The pick and roll game. See, that slows all that running down anyway. Okay. Set a good back screen. All of a sudden, you're going to have
November 27th.
You're gonna have Braylon.
Sean's got the date.
Cussing out.
It's in the big house, isn't it? Isn't it Michigan this year?
Whoever just took the back screen and nobody called it out.
Braylon?
Whoever
you
just
said Braylon?
Whoever just took the back screen and didn't
November
call
27th,
William. Braylon.
All right. November 27th, noon on Fox.
That's
Ohio
our second
State
favorite
at
stadium.
Michigan.
That's our home away from home. It's gonna have as much red as it has blue.
Not this year, bro.
William, I would have muted him 20 minutes ago.
Wow. All right, wait. I got one big surprise before we sign off.
Okay. I like youthful exuberance. I love youthful exuberance. Here it comes.
All right, so last season, because there weren't quite 110,000 people at every Michigan home game, but my cardboard cutout was very there.
I'm a fan.
That's what's up.
Hey, we have to give you the clap. We give you the claps, baby.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
Bring that to Columbus. Bring it to
This is
Columbus.
much appreciated.
Awesome.
They can use all the fans they can get.
All right, well, that's going to wrap it up today on the Substantiate Podcast. We've got a bit of a tie that we're deferring to the end of November here, so we'll have to follow up with that.
Right.
Set a calendar reminder. Can't miss it.
I feel better about us breaking this tie now that you said that. But
I don't think Michigan plays Notre Dame this season, do we? No, I want to say it was 2023 maybe, but...
And it's 31, like I think. It's a ways out. They didn't want to schedule us anymore.
They can't duck us.
We were beating up too much.
It was a good game in 2018, 2019. Not even close.
They just don't put you on the schedule. They can't duck us. Not in a healthy year.
Right. They can watch us in the playoffs, though.
Oh, boy.
That was hurtful. Sorry, William. That was hurtful. I didn't mean to be hurtful.
We'll lose in the playoffs. We can watch y'all lose in the playoffs too.
All right, so listeners can find you guys the Getaway Podcast and All of the links will be down in the show notes. Check out the Getaway Podcast. What day of the week do you guys usually release on?
Sundays,
so you can be there before you start watching the NFL. You got the Getaway Podcast to listen to. Thanks again, guys.
Hey, thanks for having us, man. It's been fun.
Thanks for having us, William. Good stuff.
Thanks, William, for having us, man.
All right, I hope you enjoyed that episode with Sean, Tony, and Jeff. And also, if you can take that couple of minutes real quickly, please, and go fill out that form. Again, it's really quick, and most of them are multiple choice. And then also, sharing this with a friend is always much appreciated, and it obviously helps to expand our audience and move forward with the show. So thanks again for listening today, and I'll see you back here next week. Thank you for listening to this episode of Substantiate. The best way to help support the show is to, number one, tell your friends about Substantiate. That is the number one way to support us. The second way is to leave us a 5-star review in Apple Podcasts or Podchaser. Number 3, follow us at SubstantiatePod on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
Hello, I'm Anthony.
And I'm Dr. Issues.
And we're hosts of Capes on the Couch, the podcast where comics get counseling.
Superheroes don't always get to go home happy. That's where we come in.
We offer psychiatric and mental health analysis of comic book characters.
So check us out at capesonthecouch.live and across all social media platforms at Capes on the Couch.